Ask me the questions, Bridgekeeper. I'm not afraid.
What is your quest?
Each and every one of us has a fundamental fantasy that's operative in our lives, and yet it only works insofar as it remains unconscious. Then you get into the debate, are there multiple master signifiers or is there only one? Because it seems like there can be only one because it occupies the exceptional position. But the point is, that exceptional position is what's singular. Different signifiers can occupy that position in different contexts. And so it's a weird thing. Like, yes, there can be multiple master signifiers, but there's only one exceptional position that makes a master signifier a master signifier. Of course, we can stand back and go, what for America is a master signifier? Okay? But then you can start asking, well, what is the master signifier for conservative Americans or for liberal Americans? And then you can ask yourself, well, what's the master signifier for Christian fundamentalists? And what's the master signifier for this group or that group? You can get more nuance with it, right? And I think it's important to do that. But
Okay.
It's also important to be able to stand back and just look at a symbolic order and say, like, what's the master signifier? This is how Todd McGowan explains it in the video I suggest of his on the Lacanian theory of signification. Its title is something like that. And so Todd is saying, look, here's the reason why the master signifier is not really a master signifier, even though it pretends to be. No signifier in and of itself has meaning. So if the master signifier was to have a kind of intrinsic self-contained meaning in and of itself, it would necessitate at least a second signifier, a binary signifier, like its necessary correspondent signifier. But there is no binary signifier. There is no second signifier that clicks together with the S1 with the master signifier and forms a perfect union that has, like, there's no necessary signifier that corresponds to the master signifier. And so for Lacan, this is why signifiers are more important than signifieds when doing the work of analysis, because the unconscious makes itself known through the signifier, not the signified. The signified, again, is caught up with the ego and conscious intention, etc. Because the master, there's a fantasy that's always at work in human beings, and it's it's called the myth of the primordial father, or the primal father in Freud. Yeah, exactly. DEFCON. Chad is this term the internet has developed basically for the man, for the phallic figure, for the exceptional, right? So the master signifier, it always, regardless of what particular signifier occupies, look, God, the word God is an example of a master signifier, right? You think about how various societies throughout history, they've been organized around the signifier God.
Marketplace of ideas.
Is it the liberal media? Is it science? Is it theism? Is it philosophy? Is it fake news?
Oh, right.
Right?
Right.
And then, of course, think about, I mean, and this is a big example of a master signifier, history. Because the signifier history was the master signifier in Stalinist Russia.
True.
And so, think about what happens if the term history or the signifier history is quilted by Stalinism, or if it's quilted by science or Christian fundamentalism, right? Or and again, what about love, right? Well, what if it's quilted by Christianity or Marxism, psychoanalysis, New Ageism? And so the point being is just that we start to see how quilting something retroactively changes its meaning.
Right.
And so much of this is this great Lacanian insight into how what comes after determines what came before. That's part of what this toolkit of concepts gives us, ways of analyzing what's going on in our particular libidinal economies.